What is up, full-time family? It's time for full-time MMA in the evening, and I got my hat, but we ain't wearing that shit today. It's too hot. We're over here in the full-time MMA
What is up,
sweatshop.
full-time family? It's time for full-time MMA in the evening.
But yeah, we're gonna talk about a few things today, as well as why we're switching from the morning to the evening. But yeah, we're live from the full-time MMA sweatshop. That was a joke. There's a story behind it, but kind of fucked that up with the echo. But either way, man, for some reason our whole block's water is off, so we've been going through this summer day with no water in the house, so it is what it is. I see my boy MMA Addict and Joseph DeClaire in the building, starting off with RIP XXX Tentacion. Yeah, that shit is crazy. You know what's crazy is I see on my chat there's a message on the live stream. It says, "Six bro, I hope my net is in signal." I see you said that on the full-time family group chat on like the actual live stream, but in my chat that I'm watching, that's not actually here. That's kind of crazy. So who is that? Is that Yoza L? Hold on, we got something going on here. We got a weird little dilemma. Who said that? Was that Yoza L that said that? I gotta maximize the screen. Because if so, for some reason, I'm not seeing Yoza L's comments. And I think that's what the trolls were alluding to. They were saying shit like that you shouldn't be blocking your own viewers. I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? You guys remember there was a situation not too long ago where I don't know who it was, some type of scammer sent me an email to where they got it seemed like they were going for my password and I didn't realize what it was. So I fell into it, but I changed my password since then. But they sent some weird ass cryptic message on Twitter like don't block your viewers, and so it's weird. I think that might have been Yoza L at the top if you said something, but I didn't see your comment if I'm actually looking at my live chat. So that's pretty fucking weird. And I know you're part of the full-time family, so that's pretty fucked up. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna look at my blocked list and see if somehow somebody's like got on my account and blocking actual subscribers, which is what I kind of was thinking from that cryptic message. So that's pretty weird. My guy Corey McVelly said, "Where's the hat, bro? It's too hot for the hat today. I'm gonna have to put that joint back on like tomorrow." We ain't been running our air conditioner because that fucking bill's too high in this house. Like, our air runs all the way through the night. It never heats the house to where it's supposed to be. I don't know if it's insulation. I don't know what the deal is. So we ain't been running our AC, but today, for some reason, our whole block's water is off. So we had to fucking compromise and say, since we can't, use water, we're gonna turn on the AC for a day or two. So that's just crazy. But Unisono said, "You're losing weight, man. Looking good. Keep it up. Appreciate it, brother." My bad said, "What's up, Jordan? Hope you're blessed." Yes, sir. You too. So we're gonna talk about some things today. The show might be a little short. Like,
oh my God!
We're having some technical difficulties, and my cord just fell. I don't know why my brother's screaming. What's going on?
It's like maggots and shit here, dude.
All right, dog. Well, I'm live. Oh shit! I can shut my door, I guess now. Hopefully the cord stayed plugged in. But yeah, my brother just got home from picking his girl up from the hospital. We got a lot of shit going on today, so excuse the all of the fucking distractions. Yankee, my dandy doodle said, "What a miserable existence it must be to live a troll's life." I know, and that's crazy though, because that's why I'm glad we got the full-time MMA group chat right there. Because if I check that out, yeah, that's something we got to get into. So we're gonna talk about MMA in a little bit, but as far as we're going to talk about a little other stuff first, like, yeah, shout out to the microwave, that was him. Oh my god, he fucking, I guess there was some bullshit going on, but, so as far as why, just in case you didn't listen to that Wonderboy video earlier, we're going from the evenings, from the mornings. It's because the job that I have, whenever I can find shifts, in the summertime it goes to morning shifts, so it's like from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. So it's just a scheduling thing for my other job. So if I'm going to do live streams every day, it's going to have to be after 4:30 p.m. So with that being said, though, who's Sean booked against? He doesn't have an opponent yet, but it's looking like UFC 228 in Las Vegas, and he's hopeful for a co-main event slot. But at the same time, that could be the return of McGregor and Habib. So a co-main event might just be a little bit of wishful thinking there. So yeah, with that being said, let's jump into this MMA. But yeah, I seen some people saying, "Fucking RIP XXX Tentacion." Isn't that shit crazy? Bro, like, that shit blew my mind. And like, I just found that out like an hour ago. I was like, my brother was like, "Yo, XXX," he don't even know never even heard his music. "Yo, XXX Tentacion's," like, what the? That shit blew my mind. That is crazy. R.I.P. X for sure. Craziness. What's up, full time? Evening works better for me, said Mr. Perfect. That's dope. That's dope. Wait, that nigga dead? Yeah, bro. XXX was shot in Florida. I guess he was like bike shopping. He got shot and he was rushed to the hospital. He had no pulse and now he's confirmed dead. XXX. It's crazy, crazy news, man. You know, he was one of those guys. You know, he was definitely. I feel like this. My assessment of what I knew about him, just from the news and stuff like that. A little bit of the songs. He seemed like, you know, like a tortured soul a little bit, but he was getting his life back in order. He might have done some fucked up shit, you know, but he seemed to really be focusing his energy on, you know, everything as of late, positive energy, you know. But I don't know him. I don't know him like that, but yeah, he definitely was a powerful individual too. If you listen to his speeches, even his music, man, that crazy news, crazy stuff. Oh man, well Takashi needs to stop playing before he's next, said Mr. Perfect. I'm telling you, who would have thought it would have been XXX before Takashi? That's crazy. All these young boys out here tripping. We here, said I'm him. Yes, we are, sir. All right, so let's get into the news. Like I said, we might be going for like an hour today. Not exactly sure exactly how long, but try and cover these topics. He said, is there going to be a hangout at the end? Want to get my new headset so I can sound crisp with the fam? Probably not today. I haven't figured that out yet. Still a work in progress as far as the hangouts. Maybe we'll do like just a regular hangout like in the daytime or later on. Maybe later on tonight or something, but not at the end of this video. We got a lot of shit going on today and stuff. As far as the house and the fucking full-time sweatshop. So that being said, let's get into the MMA news aside from all of the bullshit. But yeah, no, if you guys see Yoza L in the chat, that's interesting. I ain't seen him in a while, and I was looking on the screen because, you know, we got the new setup. So the little phone on the right side of the screen that says full-time family group chat, there was a comment at the very top when we first started, but I don't see that in my live stream. So there's some people that are probably chatting that are subscribers, and I'm not even seeing your comments. So that might be the case. We got some trolls trying to fucking hack the channel and shit like that. You've been seeing all the thumbs downs. We've definitely got some trolls going to work on the channel. So also make sure you subscribe to the second channel just in case some bullshit pops off. You know, I don't know what the fuck these nerds got on their hand. Where's Colby Covington when you need him? It's crazy because these are actually the Colby Covington fans, but they're fucking in need for some Nerd Bash 2018. But let's get into the MMA news. We're going to try to avoid the trolls, and then after this, I'm going to look into it to see if I can see if they blocked some people from the full-time family that shouldn't be blocked, because I ain't seen Yoza L's name in a while, and that's who it looked like was on the screen. That shit's crazy. Who's threatening your life, full-time MMA? I don't think these nerds are threatening my life. I haven't got no like messages on my life, but they're threatening my motherfucking YouTube channel and shit like that. I'll tell you that much. These and you know what I'm saying? A lot of weird stuff. So, but it is what it is, man. We're just gonna keep pushing through. Fuck the trolls. Keep up the good work. That's what I'm doing. Someone said make a full-time hip-hop channel. I'll sub right now. Might have to do that, man, you know, because I keep up on all the news and stuff like that from other YouTube channels, and I have an opinion on it, but, I mean, who the fuck am I? You know what I'm saying? So, with that being said, let's get into the MMA news once and for all. Alright, we got Stephen Wonderboy Thompson saying he tore his MCL versus Darren Till, and he wants kick to the knees to be an illegal strike, which is interesting. Those kick to the knees are, I think, I don't want to say a black eye for the sport, but it's always, what is it? It's interesting to see a fighter use a kick to the knee heavy game plan. Like, even when Robert Whittaker was doing it to Yoel Romero, I was like, man, that's probably something you have to do when you got a monster like Yoel Romero on the other side of the cage from you, but at the same time, you could do some damage to his knees with those. But to be fair, Yoel, you know, kind of did it in the first fight. Yeah, Robert Whittaker felt like targeted his knee, so might have been a little bit of payback in that situation. But this is not new. This has literally been going on since UFC 1. Oblique kicks, those have always seemed dangerous, you know, with potential to injure somebody's knee. Definitely makes you rethink coming forward. Like, damn, like, you know, what do you do when someone's trying to kick your fucking knee out? So if that were to change, if it did get banned, then that would shake up the game, I believe. I really think that would shake up the game. It would like change the meta, if you know what that means. So this is what Wonderboy said. He said, there was one thing that really slowed me down during the fight, and that was the side kick to the knee. It really caught me just right in the center of the knee the first or second round, and I believe it was the second round if I remember correctly. But yeah, man, I heard some cracking and popping, and it slowed down tremendously, so it was hard for me to move around the way I wanted to. I was also worried that if he hit it again, the fight would be over. Not just that, but also my career. It would have been devastating to tear my ACL for a second time. But yeah, after watching the fight, there's always something you can go back and work on. So yeah, he's talking about that MCL injury in the fight, and that's interesting because when I was watching the fight and also listening to the commentary, of course, but even just watching the fight, you could see Wonderboy's leg had definitely taken some damage. And I'm not talking about like you could see his MCL was torn. I'm talking about a bruise. Like, even if Darren Till might have connected with the knee once or twice, I don't think Darren Till was doing it intentionally to damage Wonderboy's knee. Because he landed just some actual good leg strikes. Some ones that were bruising Wonderboy's knee, and that's a smart strategy against Wonderboy to prevent his movement. Work on his leg early in the fight, so later in the fight he can't really blitz or counter as well because you did some damage to his leg, not his knee, like an asshole trying to injure him. But still, to work on his leg would be a smart game plan to with some leg kicks. So I don't think Darren Till was doing it to be like, oh, I'm about to take out Wonderboy's knee so I can win the fight. I'm literally trying to kick his knee out and win this fight by leg kick TKO. I just think he used that as a strategy, a striking strategy. Do some damage down there, and then I'm going to come up top in the later rounds. It's going to be harder for you to counter. Your movement, you're going to be a little more stiff. So, I mean, but if that became banned, then you would have, like, referees watching for it, maybe giving warnings for it. Like, watch that. Hey, that was close to the knee. That was close to the knee. Like, that would be a tough call, and it's been around since the beginning of the sport. So I don't know if we'll see that banned, but it is interesting. I don't know if we'll see it, but what do you guys think? Do you think it should be banned? Wonderboy does. He says, I honestly think the strike should be made illegal. It could end somebody's career. Robert Whittaker had to have ACL surgery following his first fight with Yoel Romero due to that particular strike. And as you can see, Robert Whittaker made sure to beat Yoel Romero to the punch in their second fight. He threw a lot more than he did. This time around, and it's just a very dangerous technique. So let's see what you guys are about. Yeah, fuck that kick, said Clayton Funky. But the chokes are legal. Knee bars, arm bars, all types of locks and cranks, all shit that fucks you up. 22 games said that's true. I think Wonder just all upset about his shortcomings now. We're going to get to Hill Thompson soon. Fuck it. Yo, Wonderboy Thompson, heel turn. Yo, that would be absolutely insane. Isabella D. Lacova said, good evening, friends. Love you full-time. MMA, stay strong. Get back to work, though. Have a great night, everyone. Ciao. All right, let's get to the next topic. We covered this in a video as well, but yeah, man, that's interesting. And Wonderboy, the only other thing out of this is he's going to be out for a little while. So, if he was hoping to potentially get back in line, right back in there, that's not going to be possible now with this injury. He's not going to be able to train for a little while. So in the meantime, maybe we see like a Darren Till versus Robbie Lawler. That's a fight that would be pretty crazy. Honestly, I think that would be dope. Maybe a #1 contender fight. Robbie Lawler, I don't know, maybe not. I think Darren Till versus Robbie Lawler would be a good fight, but if Robbie Lawler won that fight, I don't know if he would necessarily be in line for the next title shot. I mean, maybe it would be about that time, honestly. Actually, yeah, if Robbie Lawler was able to beat Darren Till, I think he did enough to earn a title shot back. He beat Donald Cowboy Cerrone. He's earned a win or two since then. So yeah, man. Who did I don't remember who he fought last. I don't think it was Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Oh yeah, he lost to RDA. So maybe not, but it would still be a good fight. I think Darren Till versus Robbie Lawler. I understand eye pokes and kicks to the nuts, but kicks to the knee illegal? No, hell no. Like, kicks to the knee, like, I think if you're just targeting someone's knee, I could be wrong, but I think that should be illegal. Like, if you're front kicking somebody's knee, trying to kick it backwards, I think that should be illegal if it's not already. But I think it'd be hard to judge, like, if you're throwing a kick to, to the side of the knee, how, it would be really hard to judge something like that. But if you're, like, dead on, like, front kicking somebody's knee, trying to kick that shit backward and, like, hyperextend it, that's absolutely insane. But at the same time, I think that might be, be what some people are talking, but that to me feels wrong, like, or illegal. Trying to kick somebody's knee backwards, but if you're just kicking like the side of the knee, I think that would be, I don't think you can ban that. I think that would be too hard, even if you were trying to say, hey, you have to kick the thigh or the calf, no knee, because it'd be like, well, I was aiming for the calf, but, I hit the knee. You know what I'm saying? So, I think that would be too hard to judge. Like, be careful, bring up that leg kick. Like, oh, well, if I bring up the kick, I'm in danger of kicking him in the nuts. Like, if I bring it down, then, so yeah, that would be really hard. But I definitely see the argument. Let's see. What PK Vidge said, there's no time to tap like an armbar has the same impact on an armbar. Yeah, there's no time to tap from the strike like an armbar. I see what you're saying. Yeah, you can't tap from somebody like trying to kick your knee out. If you're in an armbar and they're threatening to hyperextend your shit, you can tap. They're just front kicking your knee backward. You can't even tap from that. Yeah, that would just be a shit show if people were just kicking people's fucking knees backward like raptors and shit. But yeah, man, Wonderboy, so he'll be out for a little while, and he wants the kicks to the knee to be an illegal strike. But I think if that did happen, it would change up the game. People would have to completely change. And this is that's what I think about, like the gloves. People talk about the gloves when people are reaching and they get warned for eye pokes and all the, the eye pokes and stuff like that, and how fighters have their hands open a lot. And, you hear fighters talk about it, and they say it's because you have, like, grappling-friendly gloves, so your hands are just naturally more open. And so it's like, if they ever changed the gloves, I think that would change fighting style. I think that would change the meta a little bit as far as the UFC. I think it would change who's the top dogs. Like right now, you have grappler-friendly gloves, and it's kind of common knowledge at this point that wrestlers have one of the strongest bases. If you're going to be an MMA fighter, you probably want to have a strong wrestling base if you hope to be the champion. Now, there's, of course, outliers, and there's other people that are badasses that get it done. But if you have a strong wrestling base and you add on to that, you have a really bright future, it seems like, or you have the chance to win a lot of fights in MMA. It's good to have that wrestling in your back pocket. But I wonder if they change the glove style, if that would change, because right now they have a grappler-friendly glove. So I don't know. That's just interesting things. Things like that I feel like would completely change up, how fighters approach fights. Let's see. We got this. I gotta see if we can fix this a little bit for you guys, because he seems like it's not fully on the screen. Sean O'Malley teases he's teasing a co-main event at UFC 229, not 228. Okay, I had that mistaken. But UFC 229 in October. Now, this is interesting because UFC 229 is supposed to be, well, there's reports and rumors of UFC 229 being main evented by Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov. And now, so that's why I think this can be a little bit of wishful thinking by Sean O'Malley. He just put co-main event. He didn't say, hey guys, I'm going to be guaranteed fighting in the co-main event October 6th in Las Vegas, UFC 229. He just put co-main event. And if you've been listening to Sean O'Malley's interviews or just keeping up with him lately, you've heard that his desires to fight in a main event. He wants the main event card. He's also, had the desires to fight in Las Vegas. He likes fighting in Vegas. He wants to fight in the main event. He's really trying to embrace becoming a star. But, it might just be just a little too soon, you know what I'm saying, as far as co-main eventing UFC 229. Now, it's not unheard of for a prospect like that to be on the pay-per-view. A really bright prospect. We just saw Mackenzie Dern was on UFC 224, right? Now, they're fighters that, and Sean O'Malley, I think, has more of a case than maybe even the Mackenzie Dern. Some people felt like Mackenzie Dern, and actually it's kind of similar. But Sean O'Malley's had 2 fights in the UFC. The fight on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. He's actually got a lot of, we've seen that hype built up. Mackenzie Dern's, she's coming over kind of as a big star from her jiu-jitsu. You heard about a lot more about, man, you see, it's been hot in here. We had the windows open. We got flies in here and stuff. Man, this shit's crazy. We're in the full-time sweatshop. But Mackenzie Dern's hype kind of came from her jiu-jitsu days. So we've seen, I feel like this for me, I didn't really watch Mackenzie Dern in her jiu-jitsu days. I haven't really seen her jiu-jitsu matches, but you just kind of heard about the Mackenzie Dern hype. And her opponents you might not even know as much about unless you really keep up with WMMA. So Sean O'Malley, you know, he's fought in Vegas. He's won 2 fights, both kind of viral performances. So I think he's earned a pay-per-view spot. But if it's going to be a huge card, like let's say UFC 225 we just had, I don't know if there would have been room for, I mean, now CM Punk was on there, but let's just say Alistair Overeem got the main event slot over CM Punk. If you look at the UFC 225 lineup, you got 2 title fights, Whitaker versus Romero, Colby Covington. So those spots are already, no one's taking those spots. Then you got 3 spots left on the card. Holly Holm versus Megan Anderson, Tai Tuivasa versus Andrei Arlovsky, and possibly Alistair Overeem versus Curtis Blades. I don't know if there's room on a stacked card like that for a prospect like Mackenzie Dern or Sean O'Malley. So that's why this co-main event is kind of like super wishful thinking in my eyes, because it's like, just imagine if this card was headlined by Conor McGregor and Khabib. You could only imagine. You would think that card's going to be stacked. Now, at the same time, Conor McGregor has, or his team has, I've heard reports that he's not really interested in sharing his pay-per-views with other champions anymore as far as if they get pay-per-view points, because he feels like he's going to be selling the majority of the pay-per-views, so all the other champions are kind of just sitting back waiting, you know, hoping to get on a Conor McGregor card. Like, ooh, if I can fight on Conor McGregor card, whatever percentage of my pay-per-views is going to be through the roof because I'm getting a percentage of Conor McGregor's pay-per-views. And so Conor McGregor is kind of like just giving away gifts. Like, let's say Tyron Woodley, or if Tyron Woodley's on Conor McGregor's pay-per-view, or who's not, Demetrius Johnson. Let's say, you know, whoever's not known to sell a lot of pay-per-views right now. But if you get pay-per-view points and you're Demetrius Johnson and you're fighting on a Conor McGregor card, hell, ching ching. You know, if you were just on your own card, you probably wouldn't have made 1/8 of the money. So Conor McGregor has desired, or I've heard from his team, I haven't like just heard a Conor McGregor interview, but I have heard the interest that he kind of doesn't want to share the cards with other champions. So that would leave room for like a Sean O'Malley on the card. You know, if you're not going to have 2 champion fights on the card, that's going to leave you room to kind of put other fighters, maybe up and coming fighters, on the card or something like that. So I actually would not be surprised if Sean O'Malley was on this card. But co-main event, that would be a huge step. You know, co-main event to Conor McGregor, that would be fucking huge. I would probably go crazy for Sean O'Malley if that was announced. Khabib versus Conor McGregor main event, Sean O'Malley versus whoever the fuck in the co-main. I would go crazy, son. That would be absolutely crazy. Tyron would sell his own mother to be co-main of a Conor pay-per-view, said Kenshiro Ryu. That's crazy. Dan from Oregon said, what's up, leg kicks hating sick? What's up, you leg kick hating sickos? Not much. What's up, brother? Forward Thinking said, honestly, don't think O'Malley is co-main event worthy as of yet. Perhaps 3/4 from the top behind a couple of title fights. Honestly, a main event on Fox is a better spot versus top 8 guy. Yeah, and right now, honestly, he's on the outside. He's not even in the top 15 yet. So if he fought a top 8 guy, that would be a big fight. But that would be a huge step up. You know, I was kind of thinking maybe a top 15, top 10 guy. But yeah, if you're going to be fighting in a co-main event or even a main event of a Fox card or something like that, you're probably going to have to fight a top 10 guy for sure, top 8 guy to really make that stand out. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that would be we'll see where it goes, but either way, I'm going to be hyped. Mr. Perfect said O'Malley versus Zabit. Hey, there's already been talks of that fight. Sean O'Malley and Zabit took a picture. Ariel Helwani asked him about it when he was doing the interview, and he was like, yeah, man, you know, both. He's super cool. We both just happened to be like at the Performance Institute that day, and that's a potential future featherweight champion. I'm a potential future bantamweight champion. I'm already looking at that as a potential champion versus champion super fight. Sean O'Malley's got his eyes on the prize, bro. He wants to be in Vegas. He wants to be main events. He's already looking at champion versus champion super fight. He's like ready to become a star. He's going to have to earn that in his next couple of fights, which I feel like he's did a great job of doing so far. But yeah, man, he's got a bright future if he doesn't get derailed. You know what I'm saying? But man, yeah, it's going to be great to see that card if he's actually on that pay-per-view, especially if Conor McGregor and Khabib is there. So that's that topic. Moving on to the next, we got Al Iaquinta ready for a round and a half of absolute hell against Justin Gaethje. Whenever I read this, I got to admit, I chuckled a little bit. It made me want to watch Al Iaquinta's podcast because it was kind of funny. Like, this is what he had to say. He said, we got a tough task ahead of us. Justin Gaethje is no joke. That guy is about a round and a half of hell. I got to be ready for a round and a half of absolute hell. Then he starts slowing down about midway through the second round, but holy shit, the first round. We got to sit down. We got to talk with Coach Ray Longo and get a game plan going. This is going to be good. So, I mean, as far as the fight, that's a fact. This is going to be great. It's going to be a great test for both of these fighters. Justin Gaethje trying to prove he's still one of the top 10, lightweights in the world. Al Iaquinta trying to take that spot. And only the best lightweights in the world have been able to beat Justin Gaethje. But if he does lose this fight, he will be on a 3-fight losing streak since beating Michael Johnson in his UFC debut, and he can start to raise a little bit of questions, because no one would want to see like Justin Gaethje go on like a 5-fight losing streak. Now, if he did, we'd be watching every single fight. It's always going to be fun. He's the type of guy that puts it out there for us. So, the least we could do is watch his fights. Like, he's literally going out there to try and entertain, he's going out on his shield. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure he's got people. This is 2018. People aren't just, that stupid anymore. So I'm sure there's people every at least week. Maybe not every day, but there's people that tell Justin Gaethje. I'm sure even people that interview him. You do really, you know what CTE is? You realize this isn't the best for your health? Do you think about your future? I'm sure those questions have came up at some point, but he still decides to go out there and put on a show for us, win or lose. He's got great wrestling skills. He could probably decide to shoot for a takedown at some point and use his wrestling and more in these fights. But he's literally like, you know what? I'm getting that fight of the night bonus. And that's kind of super dope to think about, right? Like, I don't know how much he's making per fight, but let's just say, for example, what if Justin Gaethje was making $25,000 per fight? You know what I'm saying? $25,000 to show, $25,000 to win. Well, you get a $50,000 fight bonus. That's like doubling your pay. So it's like, do I want to fight 10 fights that, or do I want to fight 5 fight of the nights? Shorten your career, kind of. So he's going to be fighting less fights, but he's damn near guaranteed a fight of the night bonus or a performance of the night bonus. That's the type of fighter he is. So he's kind of guaranteed that extra $50,000 check. So he could be kind of smart. Now, taking those shots to the head, I don't know, but if you only got to, you know what I'm saying? If you only got to do it 5 times, if you're looking at it that way, who knows what would happen. But I'm just saying, he could be kind of smart if he's looking at it that way. Like, get these performance bonuses, invest, get out of here as quick as possible. But at the same time, it just, when you see him in these wars, you ask those questions. But either way, that's what this fight has the potential to be with Al Iaquinta. Al Iaquinta is not going to come in here and try and wrestle fuck Gaethje at all. He's known primarily for his striking, and he's knocked dudes out. He's shown some pinpoint accuracy. So, and I'm sure some people are interested to see where Al Iaquinta's heart is. We saw it versus Habib. Actually, I think he answered those questions. But still, even versus Habib, he's going to test your heart. But so is Justin Gaethje. He's going to bring it out of you too. But so with that being said, Al Iaquinta's kind of proved that in his Habib fight. He showed his heart. He went out there. He was having fun. Even at the end of the fight, after getting beat up, he was still having fun. You know what I'm saying? So going into this fight, I think there's nothing to expect but a great fight. But what if? Now, this would just throw everybody off. What if Justin Gaethje, just had an epiphany overnight? You know what? Fuck these fans. I'm about to start wrestling. He's put on his wrestling. Fuck these fans. And he's just decided to come out here and would completely throw Justin Gaethje off. Justin Gaethje's expecting a brawl. He's probably fighting with, he's expecting to get his legs kicked from under him. Justin Gaethje's got some of the nastiest, if not the nastiest, leg kicks in the lightweight division. It's between him and Edson Barboza, but man, he's been making a strong case for it. But with that being said, that's what you're going to expect, a war. But we know Justin Gaethje's got high-level wrestling. He just doesn't really decide to use it as much. So what if he just, fuck these fans, and just took Al Iaquinta down in each of the rounds and just controlled him with the wrestling? And it wasn't the fight we expected, but it would still be crazy, right? But yeah, man, looks like Al Iaquinta is expecting Justin Gaethje to potentially fade after a round and a half. But Justin Gaethje's not somebody that has any quit. Even if he fades, he's not going to quit. even if he was tired in the after round 2, going into round 3, even if he faded a little bit, there's not going to be no quitting Justin Gaethje. So still gonna, Ali Quinta's gonna have to get him out of there or brace for a war. So this is gonna be a great fight. Cannot wait. Main event for UFC Lincoln, Nebraska. That's in the Midwest, man. It would be fucking crazy if we were actually able to go to that thing, but that's gonna be a hell of a fight, man. CSH Combat Sports in the building. What is up, Coach? If you guys like WMMA and boxing, that's the channel for you. That's where I listen to for all of my boxing and WMMA news. What is up, Coach? Forward thinking in the building. John Doe. I see Stewie in the trap. Holy shit, dog. Bro, that's literally like the 8th. I'm up to like 8 accounts that I know he has by himself. Like this one motherfucker, Stewie. He's got Stewie's, he's got different variances of Stewie accounts, different variances of full-time toilet cleaners. He's got just watermelon. He's got so many troll accounts, it's ridiculous. And it's crazy. But also, yes, like I said, if you are somebody that's listening to the channel and you've been commenting and I haven't been seeing your comments, email me, because I think these trolls have found a way to do something with my channel. Because like I said, I'm seeing comments pop up on the group chat screen, but I'm not seeing them in my live chat. So for some, it's like if you're blocked, I can't see what you're saying. So it's like somehow they've blocked you from my channel, and I didn't do it. So if I'm not seeing your comments, I haven't been responding to your shit. There's some weird shit going on with these trolls right now. So with that being said, we're just going to keep pushing through and try and figure this shit out as it goes. You know what I'm saying? Because I can check everyone I have blocked on my account. And if I see fucking Yoza L on there, that's going to be crazy because I know I wouldn't have blocked him and shit like that. If I see familiar names, I'm going to be like, I didn't block you guys. That's weird as fuck. So with that being said, Kenshiro Ryu in the building, Stewie taking L's. Terry, what's up? Terry Curl in the building. All right, let's move to the next topic. We got, despite weight issues, Mackenzie Dern plans on staying at straw weight, and she's not coming to this decision herself. I know what a lot of you are thinking. Are you kidding me? You know what I'm saying? She's not going up to flyweight after missing weight by 8 pounds. A lot of people feel like Mackenzie Dern does it intentionally, essentially, to kind of cheat the system. And that's, I believe, Dominic Cruz felt that way, and maybe not even just singling out Mackenzie Dern. But people feel like some people take advantage of the system and they miss weight by so much, because it's like they're almost a full weight class up, so it's really going to help you in a grappling scenario. And that's not where it really helped Mackenzie Dern in her last fight, but it might have. She had a lot of power behind that right hand that she landed on Amanda Bobby Cooper and dropped her. So some people feel like the weight might have been an advantage, and I'm sure it was an advantage. That's why there's weight classes. But at the same time, you got to look at the other side of the coin. Her opponent did accept the fight, and she got paid for that. She could have denied the fight, especially if your opponent comes in 7.5 pounds over 8 pounds. You might want to reconsider, try and reschedule the fight, So that's an option, but she decided to take the fight. She was paid. I think she even got paid more. I think Mackenzie Dern's team offered her like 40% instead of like the normal 20%. So I think she accepted the fight on those conditions. But so despite those weight issues, Mackenzie Dern's planning on staying at strawweight, and it looks like the UFC helped her make this decision. She said, after I did not hit the weight, the UFC called me. They said they were thinking of moving me up. They called me to come to the Performance Institute in Las Vegas to see what my body type was like, if it was better to continue at strawweight or move up to flyweight. Having this network is so great, Seeing them invest time in me and helping me, I had no way of saying no, I'm here getting their help on everything, So it looks like she went to the UFC Performance Institute. They did some tests, maybe with a nutritionist, and they just seen if they would be able to help her make the weight safely, if she'd be able to make it, or if it's not even a use to try, if she should, I actually said at that time, but or if she should just go up to flyweight, you know what I'm saying? Because if you're missing weight by 7.5 to 8 pounds or however much it is, that's a huge miss. You're literally almost in the next weight class. But she continued and said, everyone here agrees I have the body type that fits a strawweight in the category that I am. So the plan is to continue in it, but we want to diet and train so that I do not have to cut so much weight. I'll cut very little after the fight. I will not go up that much regardless of what will be decided on the weigh-in whether or not it will return for the afternoon, if it will not change my situation much, because the way they want me to be the best possible athlete, it will be a very quiet thing. So that's interesting, talking about, you know, the early weigh-ins. Just that, you know, because the UFC's, there's been a lot more fighters missing weight with these early weigh-ins in place, and that's why Dana White's kind of decided to go back to the old ceremonial weigh-ins. And, you know, that's kind of what was interesting topic. Like, will it help fighters like this make weight? Or is it just a nutritional and a discipline thing? A lot of people feel like it's just a discipline thing, that moving the weigh-ins back, the same people are going to still miss weight. You know, if you're not disciplined, you're probably going to miss weight if that's your issue, whether it's in the morning or not. And weighing in the morning actually gives you more time to replenish as the athlete, you know, that's training your body to make weight. So a lot of fighters feel like they're being punished for the undisciplined fighters, and they feel like no matter when the weigh-in is, you're going to have the same situation. So, and we've seen that. You know, we've seen fighters miss weight before, and they don't keep missing weight a lot of the times, aside from like Johnny Hendricks, right? But usually when fighters miss weight, a lot of the times they're not working with a nutritionist, and then they decide, okay, I'm going to start working with a nutritionist now. And you don't really see fighters missing weight that are working with nutritionists, you know. So a lot of these fighters, it seems like, might just need nutritionists. If you've ever had an issue with cutting weight, you should probably just have one of these nutritionists. And it seems like they've been able to fix a lot of the weight cutting issues once they hire a nutritionist. Once the nutritionists are hired, they're able to solve some of these issues, you know. But at the same time, there was you know, I guess the UFC looked at the numbers, and back in the day when there were ceremonial weigh-ins, less fighters missed weight. We got more trolls, Bullet Tooth in the building. I see Stamina MC with the wrench. Bat, just smacking him out of here, man. And it's funny. Kenshiro Ryu said Dern is young and sexy like Dana likes sell sex and UFC. I mean, you definitely got a point. Sex does sell, and Dern is definitely a dime piece. So that could be a reason why she's getting a little bit of a push on top of her jiu-jitsu skills. You got to admit, her last performance in the UFC was pretty impressive, aside from missing weight. But I mean, I didn't really expect to see her drop Amanda Bobby Cooper like that. So that was still like, oh snaps, oh snaps. You know, she definitely did that. So I'll be watching her next fight, and I don't know if it's because of the skills or because sex sells, but either way, I'm watching, brother. Next, we got Jorge Masvidal talking about Kamaru Usman and Neil Magny. I've seen that name over like the last week or so, Kamaru Usman, and I have to admit, that's a pretty good name. You know what I'm saying? Like, like if you're a fighter, you know how people, you know, diss people, and you know, when they're trying to sell a fight or whatever. You know, people talk about Nate Diaz. If you're one of those people going back and forth, like, I'm surprised Colby Covington didn't come up with this. Kamaru Usman, actually, he might have. That might have been where it came from. But either way, it's got a ring to it. I'll say that. But I think we actually have the audio for this, but I might need to plug in my headphones so it doesn't echo. All right. I can actually play you guys the audio for this.
Start scrambling to give me an opponent. I've been trying to do it, but a couple guys have already said no. The management company said no, and man, it's fucking frustrating, man. But whatever, I'm still here. I'm gonna get in shape. I'm gonna get somebody at some point, whether it be a top 10 guy or not. Somebody's face is gonna get dismantled, and as soon as they give me the word, give me the 8 weeks to get in there, I'm gonna be ready. You know, I have no idea who it's gonna be. 2 guys already turned it down. It's a fucking shit show, man.
Can you tell us who turned you down? Is that private, public? What's that situation?
Oh, of course I can tell you down. Usman's management turned it down. The dude thinks he deserves a title shot off beating Maya in a 2 weeks notice. And, of course, Magny, no further comments. You know, I don't even want to touch on the subject, because then the guy writes a book about me. It's easy. We don't like each other. Let's fight, you know? But they'd rather go to Twitter and fucking flirt, you know, and shit like that. So I don't even want to mention these guys' names. But they know who they are. They know that behind closed doors, they said no, you know. And it's funny because Usman was calling me out, saying that I had ducked him. Basically, that's calling me a coward, you know. Well, now I'm saying let's fight. He doesn't want to fight.
No excuses, but I think I broke my right hand in the second. I wasn't letting it go as much, and I broke the left one in the third.
I saw him at Kobe's fight. I thought he had 2 broken hands. That guy has to be better than Wolverine, because he didn't have no fucking cast on. He didn't have nothing on his hand. You know, so that dude is like Super Marvel X. You know, I don't know what the fuck he's made out of. You broke your 2 hands and you ain't got no fucking cast on. Wow, bro, it's fucking superpowers for real.
He said, "Motherfucker must be Wolverine or some shit." That's hilarious. No, yeah, but that was interesting, right? I mean, both hands broken after the fight, and I didn't see him at the UFC event, but I was surprised at the end of the fight when Kamaru Usman announced both of his hands were broken. But at the same time, this whole situation is kind of a little weird, right? Because whenever Kamaru Usman was looking for a fight, that's what Jorge Masvidal was talking about, because Kamaru Usman kind of accused Jorge Masvidal of ducking him, and he felt like that made him a coward. And I see what he's saying, but if I'm just keeping it all the way 100, I'm a Jorge Masvidal fan. He's one of my favorite fighters, and I'm not the biggest fan of Kamaru Usman, right? Who is 30%? No, I'm just kidding, but I'm just saying I am a huge fan of Jorge Masvidal. But if I'm just keeping it all the way 100, when I'm looking at this situation, I feel like, and I've seen this in other situations. You don't have to be scared of a fighter to necessarily for it to not be the best fight for you in your career. Because at the time, Jorge Masvidal was coming off of 2 losses, right, to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and Damian Maia. So if you fight Kamaru Usman, that's going to be a tough fight. And yeah, you're not scared of him, but it's probably not the best matchup for you. He's a very talented wrestler. You know, you're more of a striker. You came up from lightweight, and even though you've been fighting at welterweight, you're definitely a legit welterweight in Jorge Masvidal. Kamaru Usman could very well out-wrestle you in a potential fight, and, you know, that would just not be a good look going on a 3-fight losing streak. So I just think it's more of a smart thing. I definitely don't at all think Jorge Masvidal is a coward. I don't think he's fucking scared of anybody in the welterweight division. He's a guy that came up to the welterweight division. He's been fighting bigger dudes. It's not what he's worried about. He's got in there with Wonderboy. He got in there with He's not worried about fighting the best welterweights in the world. But as a professional, as a businessman, as this being your career, is that the smartest matchup? It's a high risk, low reward. If Jorge Masvidal were to beat Kamaru Usman, it would be a really tough fucking win. But you would keep your spot, and yeah, you would get that win. But if you lost, you would be on a 3-fight losing streak, lost to a guy a lot of people didn't really know, kind of built his name off of you at that point. So it just might not be the smartest fight to take in your career at that time. So at the time, I did feel like Jorge Masvidal, whether it's his team or him, was kind of like not wanting to fight Usman at the time. If you recall, he said like he just had to wait till, I don't remember, like July or something, I believe, because that's when he couldn't fight Darren Till either. Like, you know, the fans were asking Jorge Masvidal about fighting Darren Till. He was like, yo, Till, I love the fight, brother, but maybe in July I can't really make UFC Liverpool. And then once we got to UFC Liverpool, we did see Jorge Masvidal trying to jump in at UFC Liverpool and fight Neil Magny. Like, yo, I'm fucking ready for Liverpool. Let's go, Magny. You know, like he was amping it up. So from the outside looking in, it looked like Jorge Masvidal was being smart with his next fight. He wasn't going to fight an up-and-comer when he was on a 2-fight losing streak. He wasn't going to fight Darren Till or Kamaru Usman being on a 2-fight losing streak. Both very tough fights who don't necessarily have a name in the sport quite yet. But Neil Magny or maybe even a Robbie Lawler, I think Masvidal or even an RDA, he would have been all over one of those fights. It's a bigger fight, high reward, high risk. But with that being said, I think Jorge Masvidal at the time didn't want to fight Usman. Now, Usman, Jorge Masvidal saying doesn't want to fight him because now Usman has something Jorge Masvidal wants. Now he's got a top 5 spot. So now he's like, hey, you wanted to fight me? Let's fight. And now it's Usman saying, no, man, I just got this top 5 spot. And my hands are broken shit. You know what I'm saying? So now Usman's in the top 5, and Masvidal's like, oh, you wanted to fight? Now you got something I want. You know, at first it was Usman trying to take Masvidal's spot. Now you got Masvidal like, now I want your spot. So you can see these fighters are trying to move up in the rankings, it seems like. So and take smart fights. So it is a shit show, as Jorge Masvidal said at this point. That's what it feels like. And then he went on to take shots at Kamaru Usman's injured hands. I don't know about how injured his hands were, how broken they were. You know, maybe it was just a very, very small break, but still a break in that sense. But with that being said, I guess he was at UFC 225 and he was spotted with no cast on. So that's Masvidal's take on it. Let's see. National anthems and N-words get Usman's motor running. I know, man. Don't kneel for the national anthem. And that's still a whole situation. You know, Kamaru Usman at that PFL. Oh, I just thought about that. He wasn't he even... I didn't even think about that until you brought that up. He was in a motherfucking crowd brawl with broken hands. I didn't even think about that. You know what I'm saying? If you're at the... That's another event he was at. Like, if he was at UFC 225, that's one thing. But I definitely seen him at UFC or PFL 1. And he was actually, you know, using his hands a little bit. So maybe he's Wolverine, Super Marvel X. Like Jorge Masvidal said, this is a weird situation going on up there. Timed out for 300 seconds. I know I wish you could just block his ass out of here. Let me see if I can do that. Let's see. Hide user on the channel. Okay, I got his ass. So, yeah, that's a whole interesting situation going on with those welterweights. You know what I'm saying? With Masvidal, with Usman, and even Magny's in the mix somehow. You know what I'm saying? Masvidal wants that fight too. So, we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to see Jorge Masvidal's next fight. I can't wait for it. There's been talks of Jorge Masvidal versus RDA. I would absolutely love that fight. Jorge Masvidal versus a former lightweight champion. I've always low-key, like, it would be dope to see Masvidal fight for a UFC title, but he hasn't had that opportunity. Lost some split decisions, and by that I mean got robbed. You know what I'm saying? So, with that being said, man, we'll move to the next topic. We got UFC champ TJ Dillashaw praising Bellator Aaron Pico as one of a kind. Did we talk about this at the beginning already? I feel like we did. I feel like we talked about TJ Dillashaw. Maybe not. Maybe I just recorded the video for that, and I'm going to be putting that up after this. We got UFC bantamweight TJ Dillashaw co-signing Aaron Pico, and this is a UFC champion, so this is a huge co-sign for Bellator prospect Aaron Pico. I don't know why Mike Jackson's on the screen right there. But either way, this is a huge cosign for Aaron Pico. You know, a UFC champion, one of the best bantamweights in the world, if not the best. He hasn't beat Dominic Cruz. He did fight to that split decision, but he's been the bantamweight champion twice, and, you know, TJ Dillashaw is one of the best to do it. And also, as far as TJ Dillashaw's training is concerned, we know he takes it hard in training. Maybe too hard sometimes, you know, from what we've heard, but maybe that's what it takes to be the best in the world. So for him to be co-signing Aaron Pico, and Aaron Pico's already got like a bright, you know, he's already got a lot of co-signs, and you hear, you know, he's got a lot of hype behind him. But with Aaron Pico, I don't know if hype's the word, because I don't see him being derailed. I don't think that's the case with him. I think he's got the skills to prevent him from being derailed. Even if he lost a fight, he's probably going to go on to win a few more in a row. Like, even if he loses again, he's a very well-rounded fighter, and he's one of the fighters you hear about that kind of came up to be an MMA fighter. You know what I'm saying? He started early, you know, with the idea of eventually becoming an MMA fighter. So this is what TJ Dillashaw had to say. This kid's an animal, one of a kind. Just even watching him wrestle when he was 16 years old and beating grown men in the toughest sport in the world, in my mind, wrestling, and now just how tough he was and how competitive. Then getting to know who Aaron Pico is. The kid's a champ. Even if not yet, he is. In no time, he will be. He said he's technically in the martial arts. He's also mentally, he's one of the strongest guys I've ever worked with. He's one of a kind, man, for sure. Now, Aaron Pico's got a very strong wrestling background, Golden Gloves boxing, and so, you know, he's a very well-rounded fighter, very young in his game. And he lost his professional debut, but when he lost his debut, it was, for one, a huge stage. Now, still, it was a surprising loss. Didn't expect it. You know, Aaron Pico might be a guy. I was expecting him to win his debut for sure, but he's fighting tough guys the whole way up. He's not taking any shortcuts, and that's what's interesting about Aaron Pico, because, you know, Bellator's they could do that for sure if they wanted to. Like, even a CM Punk type guy, like they just had a dude from the UK version of Jersey Shore, the Geordie Shore. They just had him fighting in Bellator, and, you know, his opponent wasn't 8-2 like Zach Freeman, but Aaron Pico's fighting tough guys the whole way up. He's not fighting guys with losing records. His Bellator debut was against Zach Freeman, who's 8-2 in his pro career. So he lost that, you know, got caught in the submission. It was at Bellator 200, Madison Square Garden, pro debut. There was a lot riding in that fight, you know, for his pro debut. where it's Madison Square Garden and he's fighting a tough guy. So he had a little slip up in his first fight. But since then, Aaron Pico's looked great. I mean, he's been finishing dudes with the liver shot, like first-round KOs, just looking amazing ever since then. Aaron Pico definitely has a bright future. And, I mean, and this is a guy that could potentially be a future UFC champion, and I'm talking not at Bellator. I don't know if he would have I'm sure Bellator is going to want to keep him under wraps, keep him signed in the contract. He's a huge future star. But I'm sure Aaron Pico, who came up to be a mixed martial artist, he's probably had his eye on the UFC. You know what I'm saying? If you're a guy that's been wanting to be an MMA fighter, let's say since you were like 16 or something like that, or just 14, however long, you probably had your eye on the UFC. Bellator's kind of just now making a name for itself, and you can probably get an opportunity there as a young fighter. But I'm sure he's had his eye for or a dream for that UFC gold. So, and I think he's got the potential to do that sometime in the future. And so, and Scott Coker, he's brought up future. If you like, Scott Coker used to be with Strikeforce. Now, I didn't watch it back in the day. I didn't really ever watch Strikeforce. I wasn't a hardcore fan back then, so I didn't really even know about Strikeforce. So, but Scott Coker, he's a guy that, to my knowledge, gets credit for finding like guys like Luke Rockhold and Daniel Cormier, who are now future UFC champions. Now he's with Bellator, and look, he's got a guy like Aaron Pico and just other young wrestlers over there in Bellator that are very talented fighters that are kind of like being groomed to be some of the best fighters in the world. They're being built up the right way. I feel like, and they have a bright future in the sport to not only be Bellator champions, but who knows, potentially if the time came and they were a free agent, these guys are talented enough to fight in the UFC. So Bellator's got some strong talent, and Aaron Pico might be the cream of the crop as far as that is concerned. That weird guy said Pico ain't no Dennis. He has UFC potential at the least. That's what I'm saying. Like guys like Dylan Dennis, that's another good name. Dylan Dennis, can't think of that guy's name from Geordie Shore now. But yeah, guys like that, they're not fighting Zach Freeman in their debut. They're not fighting guys that are 8-2 in their debut. Aaron Pico's actually a fucking beast. This topic, we can go now back to the Dylan Dennis. Like this is I don't know, man. I'm a huge Michael Venom Page fan, but I kind of feel like Christmas has been ruined for me a little bit because now, when I first found out about Michael Venom Page, I seen one of his fights in Bellator. He was dancing, got the KO, and I was like, oh shit, Bellator's got an Anderson Silva. And so I literally went and watched all of his highlights on YouTube. His pro fights I could find in Bellator. I was on a Michael Venom Page like rabbit hole. I was like watching his sport karate fights and shit like that. He was looking great back then, did the same raising his hand thing all the way back in the day. Super entertaining fighter. But now becoming more of a hardcore fan, watching Bellator more and more, and doing research for predictions and stuff like that, and looking at the level of competition kind of spoils it for me a little because I'm like, okay, he hasn't really been fighting the best fighters even Bellator has to offer, right? And in the meantime, as fun as it is to watch Michael Venom Page crush a can, because that's essentially kind of what he's doing in these fights. Even boxing. His first boxing fight, I don't know the guy's record, but it was worse than this. And in this fight, MVP was fighting, his opponent was like 1-6 in pro boxing. So it's like in my idea, I know Michael Venom Page is a very talented striker. I know what he can do. He'll dance on guys and outstrike them. But he's an MMA fighter, and that's kind of what I want to see. I want to see Michael Venom Page an MMA champion, and I don't know if that's going to happen. And this kind of dampers it even more when I see him like in pro boxing. It's fun watching, but he just crushes these guys, and it's like, yeah, but I don't even know if boxing, because he's a talented kickboxer. Like, I feel like in his off time from not fighting, because he hasn't been the most active fighter, maybe working on his wrestling defense, you know what I'm saying, so he can potentially become a champion. Like, I'd rather see Michael Venom Page, working on his MMA game in his off time. But if this is an opportunity he can get paid for, do your thug dizzle. You got to get paid as a fighter. But, he's just putting on shows that, like, and he's dancing on these guys. I'll play the clip real fast. And that's the thing. Like, it's a bunch of shit that starts to add up. Like, and then he, like, the way he showboats, I'm like, all right, bro. Like, it's one thing if you're Cody Garbrandt dancing against Dominic Cruz. It's one thing if you know you're fighting a tough ass fighter and it's a hell of a fight. People were counting you out, and you were, you know. And it's a tough-ass fight, two of the best fighters in the world, so you decide to showboat. Like, haha, and it's a grudge match on top of that. Dominic Cruz, Cody Garbrandt, they don't like each other. Cody Garbrandt's doing a little bit of dancing. But to me, it's kind of a different story when it's like you're kicking your little brother's ass and you're dancing on him. And not even your little brother. These guys don't even know each other. Like, what did this poor dude that was 1-6 do to MVP? You know what I'm saying? To get him fucking showboating on his ass. You know, I feel like if MVP fought Rory McDonald and you started to showboat, that's one thing. Holy shit, I can't even believe you're beating Rory McDonald. But if you're going into a fight and you're supposed to win, like, you're supposed to win the fight, like could you imagine Valentina Shevchenko fucking showboating on Priscilla Cachoeira? Like, already had her beat up and she decides to hit the fucking chicken dance before the fight's over? It's like, come on, Valentina, you ain't got to do that to her. Like, wait until you beat Nunes. You know, wait until you beat Nico or somebody. You know what I'm saying? Until it's a bigger fight. So it's weird to me to see MVP showboating now. But to be fair, that's what got me into MVP. Watching, like, oh, that's Anderson Silva over here. That's kind of what got me into him. It's not really until you do a deep dive you kind of start to look at his level of competition. So, I mean, hey, man, it's fun. It's fun to watch. But I just, as a MMA fan, that, you know, kind of want to see him fight some higher. I want to see how he would do, but at the same time, it's kind of like, do you really? You know, because we did see him one time. I forget his opponent's name. I think it was Gonzalez. He was able to get MVP on his back, and MVP had a hard time getting off of his back. So, you know, as a guy with a striking base, you kind of know how that story can go. If he fought like a high level wrestler, you know, it'd be really hard for him to. He might just get controlled, you know, and lose the allure. You know, but hey, man, it is what it is. It's fun to watch. But going to boxing, though, I don't know how I feel about that, because both of his opponents' combined record is probably like 1-18, 1-15, and he's like just knocking these dudes out in boxing, showboating. So it's kind of interesting, man. But Michael Venom Page is now 2-0. I just thought about something. Michael Venom Page is now 2-0 as a boxer. This is how these fucking boxers do it, bro. This is how the boxers do it. Literally, Floyd Mayweather was probably fighting guys this tough whenever he was 1-0, 2-0. And literally, this is how there's so many boxers that are undefeated. You know, you wonder how there's so many fucking 20-0 boxers, 25-0, 45-0, 50-0. It's because you got motherfuckers around here like this that are 1-6. And, you know, now he's 1-7, but guess what? He's going to fight somebody else tomorrow that's 5-0. So now that dude's about to be 6-0, just beating up on somebody everybody's beating up on. But now you got a bunch of motherfuckers getting their records undefeated. This makes sense. Michael Venom Page ain't doing nothing that a normal boxer don't do. Paul Daly versus MVP would be fun. That would be a great fight. That would be a great fight. CSH Combat Sports said early in your career in boxing you fight bums. Yeah, that makes sense now. He is supposed to be fighting. He is supposed to be fighting bums early in his boxing career. But it'll be interesting to see if he can keep that showboating up. You know what I'm saying? Once he starts fighting some actual... Yo, I got to admit, now that I think about that, now that I think about, hey, this is how boxers do it. You know, they fight some cans on the way up. They build up a pretty record. But once Michael Venom Page is like 15-0 in boxing, you can't tell me you don't want to see him cross over. You know, I don't know. It definitely, I know it ain't. It definitely ain't going to be no Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather, but you might tune into MVP boxing on some night. MMA not the case. No, he won't, says CHS Sport. No, he won't. On which part? Let's see. Godfather said MVP, great boxing, would like to see his ground game. Yeah, I think that's kind of what MVP, and I don't want to say he's avoiding it, but I think that would be his weak point. It's his ground game because he's more of a striker. So he's got the, you know, quick reaction time and stuff like that to have fun and beat a lot of guys with his striking. But yeah, his ground game will probably need to improve a little bit before he's able to really become a Bellator champion or something like that. If he were to fight Ward, he'd get sparked. Yeah, I don't even know what division MVP is fighting over in Bellator. But to my knowledge, isn't Ward like a heavyweight in boxing? I'm not sure. I could be wrong. I'm a casual-ass boxing fan. Let's see. Quiet Time Gaming said, yeah, I can't get mad at him for fighting a bunch of jobbers for his first few fights, but he's 99% of all boxers absolutely known for the now it makes sense. But you see, and I was kind of looking at it like, okay, well, you weren't fighting the best guys in MMA. You were starting to fight higher level guys, but so now it's like now that he's transitioning over, it's kind of more of the same a little bit. But man, his fights are fun. So I got to admit, if he was able to get to like 10-0, I'd probably watch how he did. Because he's definitely getting better, and his boxing is already not bad. He ain't got to worry about being taken down. So I think a transition to boxing for MVP could be successful, man. Get the hang of things. Yeah, I'm down. I mean, I'm not interested in watching him like dance on 1-6 fighters, but once he gets his record up there and gets the hang of things, I'm in, man. As far as that, I really think that's all the topics for today. It's been about an hour as well, so right on time. And also, I kind of want to shut this down. We're going to be back tomorrow, but I want to see what's going on, because now I think I might have a little bit of something. I figured out what these trolls might be onto somehow. I don't know what they're doing, but because Yoza L. I know he was around. I remember that name. He's a part of the Full-Time family. He was around almost every day, and I haven't seen his name in a while. So I thought I saw his name on that Full-Time family group chat, but I don't see it anywhere in this live chat. So I'm just gonna look and see if there's any people that I have blocked that aren't supposed to be blocked. If one of these nerds are the person that like hacked my account and somehow they're blocking people from the end. I don't know how these dudes work, but I know where's Kobe Covington when you need him. I'm just kidding, but fucking Nerd Bash 2018 is about to be in full effect. You guys ready for Kobe Covington versus Tyron Woodley? Bro, I need to see if I can find it. There was some more back and forth on that fight, and I'm really getting into this fight more and more. Like, I don't even know, like, at this point, because, the former team, like, I think it might be something Tyron Woodley said. Let me just, like, Google Tyron Woodley. But there was something else said today, and I was like, yo, I'm ready for this fight. Oh, that's what it was. He said Kobe Covington's sister tried to slide into his DMs, because Kobe Covington's sister, I guess, and this is a whole new angle. I didn't know about this part, so I'm starting to get more into this fight. I don't know if it's because it's becoming more and more of a big drama show, because this doesn't really have a lot to do with the fight, but it's just more shit going on between these four. This is a fucking fight, bro. These motherfuckers don't like each other. All the trolling aside, Tyron Woodley ain't buying into that trolling shit, bro. I'm fucking ready for this fight, but yo, so Kobe Covington's sister, right? And I guess she's like a former cheerleader, maybe for like a basketball team, or like a baseball team and a basketball team. It was two different teams, but she's like a former cheerleader, needless to say. And she looks pretty good if you saw her on the UFC Embedded or whatever. But I guess she had some words for Tyron Woodley. I'll see if they have her words on here. But Tyron Woodley's responding to it. Let's see. There's still going to be haters. Oh, well, you didn't do this right. You didn't do that right. Now we got a belt. Now what do you have to say? We're coming after Woodley. There's no stopping us now. Absolutely not. So she didn't go too hard on Woodley. She just said we're coming after Woodley. But with that being said, now Tyron Woodley's bringing a whole new angle to this. He said, "Bah-ha-ha. Now we have an A belt. You guys have what we call the boo-boo belt. Nice try, big sis, on deleting the DMs you sent trying to slide and getting shut down. Don't worry, I screenshot before you did. I'll bring to the presser." Oh, shit, son. Oh, shit, does Tyron Woodley got the DMs of Kobe's sister sliding? Yo, was she trying to slide? I'm just saying, that would piss Kobe. Yo, that might get in Kobe's head. Yo, your sister was literally trying to get blacked, homie. Like, I got the DMs. What are you talking about? Like, is she on my side or your side? Like, and if I'm Tyron Woodley, well, no, he's got a wife. If I'm Tyron Woodley, no, I'm just playing. But I'm just saying, this is a business decision. Like, if you got a wife, she's got to understand. Like, this is a business decision at this point. If I respond to these DMs from Kobe's sister, I could potentially get some information on my opponent. I'm about to be fighting for a title. So I might need to respond to these DMs, see what she's talking about, see when Kobe's training, who he's training with. Mental warfare. I'm just saying this just adds more to it to the Colby Covington Tyron Woodley saga. But yeah, it looks like Tyron Woodley's gonna be bringing Colby. Yo, if this is legit, and I'm sure this Tyron Woodley better not be woofing talking about I got these screenshots and not have them, because if so, that's whack, bro. He's talking about bringing Colby Covington's sister, like, you know, that just puts the cherry. Colby Covington, the ultimate asshole, and Tyron Woodley shows up to the pressure with screenshots like that. It's kind of like a battle, right? I think Tyron Woodley would take the momentum at that point. Like, man, all the shit you're saying, all of this stuff, going to visit Donald Trump, man. Now Tyron Woodley's got one more up on Colby, so I don't know. I'm interested in that type of big drama show shit. So that's just, I didn't expect that. I seen that on Twitter, I think, and I was like, oh shit, did he just say he had DMs from Colby's sister? And if you remember when I reacted to it, I was like, oh shit, you know, Tyron Woodley might, if I'm Tyron Woodley, I'm already thinking about coming, like, I don't know what video I did it on. But I was like, shit, if I'm Tyron Woodley, or if I'm if I'm Rafael Dos Anjos, I'm trying to slide in Colby's sister's DMs. This was before this happened. I was like, shoot, just to get, you know, if I really hate Colby, I'm sliding in his sister's DMs. I didn't expect her to hit somebody up, but I'm trying to slide in her DMs like, what's up, you know, after seeing her on Embedded or something. But it looks like she had one up on me. She hit up Tyron Woodley, and that's just interesting. That's funny as hell, you know what I'm saying? That's going to be a whole different addition to the pressure. That's the type of stuff brings someone's family into the presser. That's the type of stuff get somebody ran up on. Y'all saw how Michael Chiesa happened when Kevin Lee said the word mom. He just said the word mama. That's all he said. Mama. And, well, don't be, what you say about my mama? Motherfucking ran across the stage at each other. Y'all remember the summer kickoff press conference? Michael Chiesa and Kevin Lee. That's the type of shit that happens. You bring family into it, and it sounds like Tyron Woodley's already got that plan, so this is crazy. CSH Combat Sports said his sister wants a date. That's what I'm saying, Coach. She wants that BBC, and Tyron Woodley's got the screenshots to prove it. But if I'm Kobe's sister, I'm like, yeah, I was trying to, you know, yo, that's taking it to a whole nother level. She's trying to find Tyron Woodley's weaknesses and shit. She's trying to get Tyron Woodley like GSP's nurse. You know, give Tyron Woodley a little bit of tainted water before the fight. I mean, I know you ain't got the best cardio, but we've never seen Tyron Woodley tired after the first 2 minutes. You know what I'm saying? She might be, you know, down for Colby all the way like that for the family. We're trying to get that belt. Let's go. She seemed excited, like, oh, we got that belt, baby. Like, you know, and she already seemed like one of them chicks that loves gold and jewelry. Like, oh, we got that belt, baby. Let's go, Colby. Like, what's my role? What do I gotta do? We need you to DM Tyron. We got this tainted water. We need you to get this shit to Tyron, whatever way possible, sis. Does that mean I have to? That means you have to. So she DM'd Tyron, and now Tyron screenshotted them joints. Tyron Woodley didn't respond because he's a married man. He wouldn't do that. The plan didn't work. But I'm just saying, who knows what's going on, bro? There's the mental warfare going into this fight. I'm ready. But I think that's a good note to end on, actually. I mean, we covered a few topics, and also I want to go check my blocked list and make sure there's only like fucking 10 Stewies on there, and not any people that I recognize, like my dog Gyoza L, who I haven't seen in the comments as of late, or some of the other people. So yeah, man. With that being said, thank y'all for tuning in to Full Time MMA in the evening. We'll be back tomorrow, and let the Full Time family know what you think in the comments. Unless you're a troll, man, just hit thumbs down and get out of here. We know you ain't got nothing better to do. But with that being said, I'm out.